What's up, Ginger? Ginger, what's going on? Jesse, good. How are you guys? Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you both are doing well. Nicholas Carroll, how are you this evening, my friend? There's Simone. How are you, dear? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. What's up, Sean 11D? There's Janie. How are you? Dustin, how are you, my friend? Gosh. I hear you, Ginger. I hear you. You know, hey, Sonia, MJ, sniff it out. How are you? So, crazy enough, yesterday is kind of an important night. What's up, Neck? How are you, brother? Frank Morris, how are you? Mega, BB Mac, Alligator, how are you? So, yesterday was my 9 years sobriety date. And, yeah, it was pretty cool. I didn't do much except prepare for the live stream, but thanks, Scooby-Doo. Appreciate that. What's up, Charles Widmore? How are you? George Coker, how are you, brother? William Menendez, how are you, brother? Jeremy, how are you? July 27th. Nice. Congratulations. Delirium. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I'm not so great. Janie, are you sick tonight? You all right, dearie? Thank you, Jesse. What's up, Lake? SD, how are you, brother? Wesley September, how are you? What's up, Philo? Puma Pete, what's going on? Long time no see, my friend. Jeremy? There was a werewolf on Gilligan's Island? No, I never realized that. I'm trying to think of who it may be, though. Hey, Pops, how are you, dearie? Well, we've only been live for like a couple minutes, so you're good, Pops. Janie, are you okay tonight? ATD, how are you? Oh, geez. I'm sorry, Janie. Just get a blankie and cuddle up on your couch and get comfy. Corinne, how are you? Thurston Howell. Yeah, Thurston Howell. I bet you if Thurston Howell took off his chest, he was like all hairy, just doing dirty stuff to dirty people. Old Thurston Howell, a purr from way back. Jane, let me know when your surgery is, please. So send me a message so I know, so I can pray for you, please. John Sumner, how are you, brother? The Lost One. Difference between a werewolf and a dogman. So I made there's a little short that I made describing the difference, but I'll quickly tell you right now. And this is per Victor. So hang on a second. It's getting hot in here. So per Victor, and if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense because people have seen these creatures, the different version of both. So a dogman is the iconic hocked knees, large tail, long muzzle. Your atypical, dogman. A werewolf is almost a cross between a Bigfoot and a dogman, but much different. Doesn't have a tail, shorter muzzle, human-like legs, and very, very strong, more intelligent, and quite possibly the ability to speak. That's per Victor. I've never heard one speak, but I'm just sharing information that was shared with all of us. So, Kimberly, how are you? Mo, what's going on? How are you? 1984. Catherine or Susan, how are you from Jersey? I almost changed your name, Susan. Linda Thomas, how are you, dear? Dina. What's up, Jilly? John Sumner, if you want a great book on that, get the Urentia. The Urentia has a couple of chapters just on the Lucifer Rebellion, it's called. And it's it's a book on theology, and it's an accepted book by a lot of different religions. Check the book out, the Urentia. Holy shit, only 122 people and 27 likes. My views have been weird. They've been like the other day or 2 days ago, whenever I did the Nephilim video that Peter shared with me. I thought there was going to be a lot more views and a lot more people talking about it, and there wasn't. And I was just like, that's weird. If I had shared like an experience, it might have gotten more. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know. Gina, how are you? I'm doing well. Utica Crib, how are you? So I've got 3 lot lizard stories, some different ones tonight. Linman, holy shit. Holy shit. Holy Larry Linman, thank you so much. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Larry. William Ward, how are you? Holy shit. Damn it. Wow. Well, thank you, Larry. I appreciate you. Holy shit. We'll start the night off. This one's dedicated to Larry Linman. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you. Ryu, how are you? This one is dedicated to Larry Linman. Thank you, brother. This happened back in 2009 in Puerto Rico, and we still do not know what it was. Back in 2009, 4 friends and I were walking home from a basketball game in the suburbs, that is, near our neighborhood. It was around 8 p.m., pretty dark. There was 2 ways to get into my neighborhood. The first one was a shortcut, which consisted of cutting through the middle of an abandoned paintball park. In an open field, it would take around 10 minutes to arrive at our homes. Second was the long way, which was 25 to 30, walking in a bright area surrounded by houses and endless illuminated roads that finished right on the entrance of the abandoned park, and then 5 minutes of walking in a semi-illuminated area. We took the shortcut like we did every time, but this time everything was quiet. No animals, sound. Abandoned dogs took shelter there. No cars sound from far, just pure silence. One of my friends decides to start talking about how it must be cool to play a Ouija in the middle of the field as a joke. We tell them to shut up collectively because we are all pretty scared. We all see the entrance of the park and we start getting less stressed and start talking again. We are about 100 feet from the entrance when we all hear and feel stomps coming from behind us, but not regular stomps, heavy stomps like an elephant or a bull running. We looked back and there was this strange shaped creature with really dim red eyes. At first, looked completely dark, but as it got closer, it was grayish and charging toward us. We collectively looked at each other and we ran as fast as possible toward the entrance, and we managed to get out. While walking, there is a part on the street that briefly overlooks the field. We all looked to see if we could see anything, but all we saw was the two dim red dots looking directly at us. We all went home and the next day tried to figure out what had happened. 4 out of 5 of us can confirm this experience. Sadly, one of my friends passed away a couple of years ago. I also moved, but have to travel every weekend through that area to visit the family. It still gives me the creeps going there. No glass Coke bottles tonight. Larry Lindman, thank you so much. Larry Lindman just gifted a third of the people watching this live stream a freaking membership. Wow. Thank you. What's up, Motorboat? How are you, brother? Giant Slayer, how are you, my friend? Mammy. Steve O, how are you, buddy? So, like I said, I've got some amazing lot lizard stories. You want to do a lot lizard story to also open the night with? Are you guys down for that? I got 3. So what we can do is we can start one right now since we did an encounter. We'll break off a lot lizard story midway and then end the night with a lot lizard story. How's that sound? What's up, Troy? How are you, my friend Marty? There's Liz. How are you, dearie? All right. I think you guys beat it out of me. All right. This is a fictional. William Ward, thank you so much, my friend. God dang, 55 people getting memberships tonight. And a nasty, nasty burp. All right. So these lot lizard stories are fiction. They are written just for this live stream. This is the only fiction you will hear on my channel. Hey, Jessica, how are you? Mary Ann, Red Cardinal. All right. The flickering neon sign of the Dusty Spur truck stop buzzed with the promise of greasy burgers, cheap coffee, and maybe, just maybe, a little human connection. For a long-haul trucker, Earl, it has become a beacon in the endless night of I-40 West. He pulled his rig into a space besides a chrome-laden behemoth, his bladder relieved just thinking about a lukewarm coffee inside. Earl was a simple man, content with his CB radio, a dog-eared copy of the Moby Dick book, and the open road. He wasn't looking for trouble, just a quick pit stop and a full tank. But trouble, as Earl would soon discover, had a way of finding him, especially in a place like the Dusty Spur. He noticed her almost immediately, leaning against a battered Ford pickup, bathed in a sickly green glow of a motel sign. It was Lena. She was all curves and charisma, a classic lot lizard, with a come-hither smile that could melt asphalt. Earl, a happily married man with 3 grown daughters in a sensible Volvo back home, kept his head down and hurried inside. He ordered as usual a cheeseburger with extra onions and a side of questionable fries and a bottomless cup of coffee. And he settled into the cracked vinyl booth. The aroma of the stale grease and desperation hung heavy in the air. He tried to ignore the smattered of long haulers eyeing Lena through the window, their faces a mixture of hope and apprehension. this that's when the first oddity occurred. A trucker built like a refrigerator and sporting a handlebar mustache that could rival a walrus stormed out of the diner, face redder than a taillight. He was clutching his backside and sputtering about squeaky demons and unprovoked probing. Earl raised an eyebrow, attributing it to much caffeine or maybe a bad batch of chili. He took a sip of his coffee which tasted suspiciously like burnt tires, and tried to lose himself in Melville's epic tale. Then the lights flickered. A low growl hummed through the diner, making the plastic salt shakers vibrate. The waitress, a woman who looked like she had seen it all and then some, muttered something about Lena's mood swings and scurried behind the counter. Earl looked up. Lena was now inside, her form shifting subtly under the dim fluorescent light. One moment she was a voluptuous redhead, the next a wiry blonde with piercing blue eyes. It was like watching a poorly tuned television channel. Suddenly she stopped in front of Earl's booth, her eyes locking onto his. "Lonely trucker?" she purred, her voice a strange mix of honey and gravel. Earl, a man not easily flustered, felt a shiver run down his spine. "Just passing through, ma'am," he stammered, pushing his burger away. Lena chuckled, a sound that resembled the rusty hinges of a haunted gate. "Passing through, are you? Everyone's passing through, but some of us just linger." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a squeaky dog toy. It was a bright pink pig, and as she squeezed it, it emitted a high-pitched squeal that seemed to penetrate Earl's very bones. "Don't worry," she said, her smile widening. "This little piggy just wants to play." Earl, fueled by a mix of greasy coffee. Earl, fueled by a mix of greasy coffee and sheer terror, did the only thing he could think. He grabbed his half-eaten cheeseburger and hurled it at her. The burger struck Lena square in the face, onions and all. For a moment, she looked frozen, her face plastered with processed cheese and a bewildered expression. Then she let out a shriek that shattered the nearby windows. In the ensuing chaos, Earl bolted. He shoved his way through the panicked truckers scrambling into his rig, fired up that engine, and didn't look back as he peeled out of the dusty spur, leaving behind a trail of tire smoke and lingering sense of unease. He drove for hours. The image of Lena and that squeaky pig burned into his memory. He kept glancing in his rearview mirror, expecting to see her shape-shifting form materialize in the darkness. Finally, as the sun began to rise on the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Earl pulled over at a more reputable truck stop, one with bright lights and a Denny's. He ordered a stack of pancakes and a triple shot of espresso, trying to shake off the nightmarish encounter. He never spoke of Lena to anyone. He chalked it up to sleep deprivation, bad food, and vivid imagination, but every time he heard a squeaky toy, he felt a cold shiver run down his spine, and he checked his rearview mirror just in case. Years later, Earl retired from trucking, settled down in a quiet suburban neighborhood with his wife in a sensible Volvo. But he never forgot the dusty spur, the shape-shifting Lena, and the squeaky pig that haunted his dreams. He also developed a lifelong aversion of cheeseburgers with extra onions, and every time he passed a truck stop, he gripped that steering wheel just a little tighter, just in case the road led him back into that godforsaken place where evil prostitutes probed truckers with squeaky dog toys. Because some roads, Earl knew, you never truly want to leave behind. What's up, Danny Sanders? How are you, buddy? What's up, Sonny? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Hang on, my daughter's outside. She fucking found a kitten. It is the neighbors. Hayden's. Where's my jewel? There she is. I'm doing my live stream. Stop. And it is Hayden's. He has a black kitten. Leave it alone. Jesus Christ, that kid. What's up, Brandy? How are you? Will, how are you tonight, buddy? What the fuck is going on outside? Hear the noise? Because the 20 bucks is the 20 bucks. Oh. It's not our kitten, Susan from Jersey. It's not our fucking kitten. God damn it. Belle, it's Hayden's cat. Stop. I swear to God. What's up, Rashawn? How are you, buddy? Aramik! What's going on, buddy? I found this one for you earlier. I had an experience with a flying monster as a child, which I recently found out I wasn't the only one. I was around 12 or 13 in middle school, waiting around at the bus stop. The sun was rising. I was mindlessly looking around when I caught a glimpse of something quite large in a tall tree. It looked heavy set, and I could make out wings. I saw it move a little, and I freaked out, set out to run, and then I saw the bus. I turned around, and the creature was gone. I figured I had totally imagined the whole thing. I was very tired. It was early, whatever. Fast forward a couple weeks, and it's about 9 p.m. and dark outside. I'm in my room watching TV when all of a sudden I hear banging on my window and yelling. I look out my window to see my best friend. I open the window, and like a crazy person, he climbs through telling me to close the window. Turns out he claimed to have saw something in the park, huge with wings, and it was chasing him from the park. The park is a short walk from my house, less than 10 minutes. This is the last time I hear about the creature until my sister called me a month or so ago and was asking me about that creature that I had seen. I told her years ago. I don't remember the whole hell of a lot about it. I figured I hallucinated it or just plain made it up. She starts telling me about a story her husband was telling her about a flying creature that chased him and his friends at the same park in the middle of the night. What he recounted seemed pretty accurate to my experience. To the best of my knowledge, the creature reminded me of a gargoyle. I'm going to try to recount this. Thank you. What's up, Sunshine? How are you? Yes, I can eat Apple Jacks Pop-Tarts now. I can finally eat them. Love you, Belly. Have a good night, buddy. Don't forget to watch that movie. Johnny the Wad. What's going on, brother? No, not a Mothman, but it was a gargoyle, which could be classified as a Mothman. I'm driving the night shift now with Walmart. Haven't seen anything yet. We're running coast to coast. Damn, Rashawn. Be safe, my friend. Be safe. And if you do see anything, please keep me in the mix. I want to know firsthand, please. Oh, they're not that bad. They're not that bad, Sunshine. I don't know if you guys got a Hannaford out your way, but that's where I get mine. Alligator horse. No, Apple Jacks. Like Apple Jacks. I know what you're talking about, but no, Apple Jacks cereal. But they make Pop-Tarts now. Jeff, did I ever tell you when I first learned about reptilians? No, you did not, my friend. No, you did not. I got a couple black-eyed kid stories for you guys. This is an actual article I stumbled upon that I wanted to share with you guys. So the second I found this article, Donna Harmon, how are you, dear? The second I found this article, I instantly thought of you guys, and I was like, you know what? I got to share this with you guys. There's a story somewhere here in West Virginia about a guy working at a gas station, and he saw a gargoyle fly over. I shared that. I shared that like on the live stream a while ago. But they're crazy. I love gargoyle creatures. What's up, Tommy? How are you, dearie? Back east to see my folks pretty soon. Oh, shit. Be safe. Be safe, my friend. Black-eyed peas. Yeah, hopefully these black-eyed kids don't pee on themselves. All right. Good night, buddy. I love you. That was Apollo. Stop now, Isabel. Now. What's up, Rhonda? How are you? Nah, you're not late. All right, so I found this article, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I was like, this is truly something that you guys... What the fuck is going on out there? The children approach I didn't forget I was live, Heath. The children approach quietly, yet forcibly. They insist on coming inside your house to use the telephone or to drink of water. For some reason, these children frighten you. And as your hand reaches up to open the door, you see why. Their eyes are black, no iris and no whites, just an empty, soulless void. Tales of black-eyed children began appearing on online forums in the late 90s. Published my first article on black-eyed kids in 2008, and since then, I've seen reports of these entities go from rare to common. Explanations as to what they are include alien, human hybrid, demon-possessed children, and crypto-terrestrials. Regardless of their origin, one thing is for certain, they are terrifying. Carrie Kirstner hadn't intended to stop at the Triangle Town Center Mall on her way home from Wake Tech Community College near Raleigh, North Carolina, but she did. She wished she hadn't. There were very few people there that day and found it strangely eerie how quiet it was. Carrie, 20 years old, said, "While walking back to my car, I rounded a corner and saw an older lady and a young boy. He immediately caught my attention because he was so odd looking. I had never seen anyone like him. The boy, 12 years old, seemed average at first, but Carrie watched him talk with the woman. He seemed anything but average. The boy's black hair contrasted sharply with his pale skin. Dark patches hung under his eyes. It looked like he hadn't slept for weeks," Carrie said. "He had a very thin face." As Carrie walked closer to the pair, she heard their conversation. In a quiet but strong voice, the boy asked the woman for help. He stood very rigid with his hands by his sides, looking at the ground as she fished around in her purse to get something to give to him. As I got closer, I noticed he seemed to get more and more uncomfortable. The boy began to shift his body when Carrie passed them on the way to her car. Then he lifted his head and made eye contact with her. I froze. His eyes were as black as night, very dull, almost dead. The look he gave me has haunted me. The feeling I got from him was as though he wasn't all there, almost ghostly. Eyes locked on Carrie, the boy turned slowly, not waiting for the old lady to give whatever she had dug out of her purse, and simply walked away. Carrie doesn't know who or what the boy was, but this memory will stick with her forever. Ever since then, the look he gave me has haunted me, she said, almost like he knew what I had been thinking. What was this individual that she had seen in Raleigh? Something undead? Experiencer Ezra Finch was convinced this boy and people like him are not human, at least not anymore. I've run into these things more than once, different ones in different states, he said. With a fair degree of certainty, I can tell you that these things are vampires. Finch has 2 close encounters with black-eyed kids, one in Albuquerque, New Mexico, the other a medium-sized city on the East Coast where he lives and chooses not to identify. 2 of the most extensive encounters were within very, very close quarters. In the low 30s, Finch said, I watched them as closely as I could, standing in the cold night amongst a small crowd of people. Suddenly, I felt uneasy. Something was wrong with 2 people there. First, it was their black eyes flatly staring over unnatural smiles. Then it was something subtler. People breathe all the time. They inhale before speaking. And that's it, he said. When they did speak, you didn't see anything, not a damn thing. Everyone else had visible breath. They didn't. Finch stood watching the pair chatting with people around them. Steam rose from everyone else's mouth. Not a thing from these 2 kids, he said. Finch studied them closely for the next 10 minutes and saw why their breaths weren't quite visible in the cold night. They weren't breathing. No movement from the torso at all. Still as a corpse. Black-eyed people have become a staple in conversations of the strange and unknown, and almost every reported encounter is eerily similar. Children as young as 6 years old to adults approach people alone or with a partner and beg for help. Please let us in. Give us a ride. Follow us here. Permission to enter is also a legendary trait of the vampire. They ask permission for a simple reason. If someone invites you into their home, they are less likely to call the cops on you. You invite them in, you feel sorry for them, drink with them, buy drugs from them, whatever angle they use. Aramaic, thank you, brother. Whatever angle they use to get you to open the door, they can catch you off guard, and then bam, you find out what they actually are there for. My second encounter, I had the displeasure of conversating with one as she was trying to convince me it was fine for her to be invited into my house. It was 30 degrees, snow on the ground, and she was wearing a tiny mini skirt and spaghetti strapped top, just standing there. As I stood inside my doorway listening to this scantily clad girl beg me to let her in, I thought she may be under the influence of drugs, but quickly saw something else. There was no reaction to the cold, no visible breath, no inhaling. She could care less about the temperature or breathing. Finch said he doesn't believe black-eyed people are anything short of monsters. They want you to be at ease. They want you to feel safe. They want you to feel they are harmless. You want to give them a ride or let them in, he said. They are predators. Shuffling terror. Jim Stills stood in the parking lot in front of his brick apartment building in Massachusetts. The glowing ember of his cigarette burned bright in the night. He soon found he was not alone. At night, the unusual go stand outside to have my cigarette, he said. I noticed there was a kid. The kid was about 12 to 16 years old. Each night, Stills noticed the boy walk down the street toward him. His gait was unusual. I've lived in these buildings my entire life, and I've never seen this kid anywhere. He would show up at around 10 o'clock at night and walk slowly at a sluggish pace along the main road. The boy would move from one building to the next, checking doors. It was enough to spook me out, so I stopped going out front at night. But he still looked for him, staring out his window. Stills would see him night after night, slowly pacing up and down the street until around 3 a.m. Eventually, Stills forgot about the boy and one night went outside to smoke. What he saw terrified him. Standing right next to the door was the kid, standing and looking at me, asking if I could buzz him into the building. The boy's face was covered by his hoodie, but I still saw his eyes, totally black, not a single drop of color anywhere. Stills told the boy he couldn't let him inside and bolted back inside the building, making sure the door was locked behind him. I had an overwhelming feeling of absolute terror. I did not sleep and occasionally looked out my window to the boy pacing along the road. I haven't seen him for months now, but I know I won't sit outside and smoke a cigarette anymore at night. They are monsters. An anonymous poster to my blog, Black Eyed Children, said he battled one in the woods. It appeared in the form of a 15-year-old girl, he wrote. I noticed its pure black eyes. It was forceful, then aggressive. Somehow my fear changed to anger. Anonymous said this girl had rows of shark-like teeth and moved closer to him. The black eyes seemed to become even more darker. Whatever these entities are, the fact is people around the globe are encountering beings that look human but are something else, something dark. I think they are feeding off of us. Sorry, no alien/hybrid, no demonically possessed school kids, no horrors from beyond time or space. They are monsters. Don't let them in. Don't try to make friends with them. They aren't Anne Rice or Twilight, more like Jeffrey Dahmer or John Wayne Gacy, monsters that look like people. What's up, San Francisco? How are you, buddy? Erica Danforth, how are you? Yes, alligator. I've heard of one story where a person did let a black-eyed kid into their house, and they had a lot of fucked up shit happen after. It was I shared it on a live stream. It was a boy and his mom, and the dad had left. The dad had left the mom. So they were broke, and the mom was doing the best she could. They got a trailer in the middle of nowhere, and he had known all the kids in the neighborhood. And one day there was a knock at his trailer door. He was only like 12 or 13. And he opened the door, and these kids were standing there. And in his head, he's like, who the hell are these kids? And it was in and not thinking, they said, hey, can we use your phone? And he said, yeah, come in, and let them use the phone. And then they left because his mom was like, who's in the house? And she called him, and he went back to talk to his mom. And when he came back, because his mom's like, get those kids out of my house now. They didn't know they had black eyes. He didn't tell his mom they had black eyes. So he comes back. Delirium, thank you so much. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much. That is awesome. You guys are great. Thank you. Yes, I will take the dowsing rods out later tonight. I promise. So what happens then is after the kids are gone, he looks down. There's no one around. There's like 2 miles of clear open space to, weird shit starts happening in this trailer. Spiders appear on the ceiling. The phone starts ringing, and being that his mom was broke but working really hard to pay the bills, she couldn't pay the phone bill. So the phone company had cut the phone off. Well, they would still get calls and stuff. The mom ended up paying to move the trailer somewhere else because she had bought in it, and they moved and still had the issues. And years later, they were finally able to get out of that trailer, and his mom bought a house. And at that point, when they moved out of that trailer, nothing else had ever happened. But yeah, that's the one experience that I know of where they have come in. Maybe another one. Delirium, thank you again. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. How are you feeling? And Grace, how are you tonight? What's up, Tyler? How are you, buddy? If I have numerous neighbors talking about seeing a ridiculously large wolf-like coyotes over here. No shit. What state, Sunshine? It seems like California. Send me an email, will you? I want to talk to you about that, if you don't mind. What's up, Andy Davis? How are you, buddy? Sean McCabe, how are you, buddy? Not my toilet paper. I be not using no toilet papers that is fiberglass and ripping my booter hole open. That's for the aliens to do. I do have a lot of black-eyed kid stories tonight, though. I found a bunch, so I was pretty happy about that. Okay. Samara, how are you? What's up, Richard? Steven Jackson, if you need my email, let me know. I'd like to hear it. So, a bit of backstory. 5 years ago, when I was 15 years old, I would frequently walk home from school for a couple of friends through the wooded area, which is on a steep hill. We had explored this area a decent amount as we had been walking that way since we were 13. Next to the forest is a field with a wire fence around two sides of it, blocking off the forest. The fence had a human-sized hole in it, which we explored a couple of months before, which led through the brush to what we believed was an abandoned homeless person's camp, complete with a badly built shelter out of tarps and crates, a couple plastic chairs, and a small pit in the middle. We went there a couple of times to show people, and it always stayed pretty much the same, except the chairs would move in positions every so often and sometimes would be thrown into the bushes. We went here often and never saw a person. To get to our house, we would have to walk from the field up the steep hill forest to get to the top where the houses are. Sorry for the backstory. Here's the encounter. It was late spring. My friends and myself and my friends, let's call them M and L, were walking home from school like normal. It was a pretty nice day, so we thought we would explore the woods rather than head straight home. We were exploring for a decent amount of time, like maybe about an hour just walking through the brush and trying to find paths and open areas. We walked through some thick brush and discovered we had accidentally walked into a homeless person's camp. We were all confused as we had never walked in from this angle, though through the fence. Something felt off, like kind of sinking feeling. M and L did not have the same feeling, so I kind of brushed it off. L was tired from walking, so decided to sit in one of the plastic chairs and eat some food he had brought earlier, while me and M just kind of walked around the camp, seeing if there was anything that changed. We walked into the covered bit, and we could smell something pretty grim, but couldn't exactly figure out what it was. M, thinking it was the dead body, decided to look further in while I went back to talk to L, as I was pretty freaked out. M was gone for a couple of minutes until he called for us to come and see what he found. We refused, so he came out, annoyed, calling us names, pulling up his phone to show us a photo of a dead rat. The rat looked like it had been torn apart. M said he had found it right at the back corner. Either way, we found it creepy and decided just to leave. We wanted to go through the fence and walk around the forest, but the other two said it would take too long. The other two said it would take too long and we could just walk quickly the rest of the way home. I decided to go with them too, as I just didn't want to walk the rest of the way home alone. We went back the way we came with that feeling kind of dropping. Me and M were just joking around, trying not to think about the rat, and didn't notice L kind of fell behind. As we are walking, though, L kept saying he saw something, but we kind of just took the piss out of him, saying he was seeing things. He was very certain he saw something and started getting pretty distressed. M, joking, shouted something along the lines of, "If you are here to kill us, just do it already. My legs hurt." And we had a decent laugh until L started having a full-on panic attack and crying. We went over to make sure he was all right, and that's when I saw something a couple of meters away. An all-black figure behind a tree. It was not a person in all black or anything. Like, it was dark, dark. I could see its shape looking like an elongated person's shape, with fingers that were very long and wide holding onto the tree. I thought it must have been a shadow or something, but I could see that it was in 3D. I stood there staring for a couple of seconds, with it almost not moving. I felt like a deer in the headlights until M started shouting at me, at whatever it was. It still didn't move. M dragged me and L was bawling his eyes out. We got further away to the point where we just decided to turn and run. I couldn't really run much as it felt like I lost all my energy, like it had been drained from me. I turned back and the thing had barely moved, now leaning more out from the tree with its long arms by its side. We kept going. Now, not really a run, but more of the out of breath jog. We got to the road at the top of the hill and just kind of fell onto the ground in exhaustion, still all looking at the forest. I think M started filming the forest shouting, but I can't remember what he said. But nothing really came after us. We went home. We went home, making sure to stick to the main road. Even though we had school the next day, M and L decided to stay at my house to talk about what we had seen. We even drew pictures of what we saw. We told my mom, and she didn't exactly believe us, but she said she would drop us off at school and pick us up the next day if it made us feel better. We spoke about it with my mates, but they would just kind of blew us off, trying to make shit up. We looked through the video with them, but we really couldn't make anything out. We would each claim to see it again, but couldn't really validate it as it was never as clear as it was the first time seeing it. Seeing it from car windows when driving nearby or while walking to the stop by the field after school. To this day, neither me or L have gone back to that forest, especially leaving school. I don't think M has gone back to the forest, but I have not spoken to him since the end of high school, so I don't know. But that long black figure always remains in my mind. It still shits me up today whenever I'm walking alone or in a dark area. I'm sorry if it's boring, but myself and my friends talk about it recently, and I thought it would be worth sharing. Absolutely. What's up, Jerry Burns? How are you, buddy? Janice Morrow, how are you? Ill-natured Saws, how are you, buddy? Five Rings is in here? There he is. What's up, Five Rings? Dude, how the hell did we get beat last night, buddy? We got fucking smoked last night. Fucking Philly. Damn, son. Did die? Floaters are creepy. What's up, Rick? How are you, buddy? Yep. I just listened to it. It's not dead. I got another one. Everyone back! Thank you, brother. Well, SDL, that doesn't have anything to do with that. I think it's funny that people were like, it's kind of funny that Elon's coin is Doge and this and that. And I'm like, dude, he didn't name it. He didn't name it. Yeah. I it's right in my neck of the woods, but yes, definitely. No, I have not. Phoenix exploration. No, I have not. I've never been to Nevada. I have two daughters, and one is going to be 18 this year. Now, and after she turns 18, I can start doing some trips. Yep. Hang on a second. There we go. They're getting a little sticky. What's up, OG? Shaking the Franken beans. Maybe I should let him out, huh? Yes, I'm going back. I'll have to check it out. I will. I'll have to. I want to go out towards that way anyway. I want to go out to Utah and see my friend out there, Pups. And I want to go to New Mexico and definitely Nevada. Well, they did say the Hittites would get their revenge, Peter. They did say that. Sean, I already did a lot lizard story earlier. You got to wait for another couple minutes. I might come see you, Andy Davis. I might. I definitely want to go to New Mexico, Sonia. There's something special about that place. Something special. Well, Earl was in that story, Susan, from Jazzy. I think I do have a Glimmer Man. I'll have to see my boy Aramik, too. Yes, 100% it is. That's funny. I did too. What's up? Julie, how are you? I need to go to New Mexico, Julie. But 5 rings, I knew Philly was going to be a tough team. I knew it. Wait until you see what I wear next week, 5 rings. Wait until you see, baby. I got the I ordered it straight from Japan, coming to me. The Dodgers Tokyo series baseball cap. Well, thank you, Utica. Watchers? I don't know. I think they're something. I think they're aliens, more or less. I don't think they're fallen angels because they'd gotten wiped out. Rhode Island's bad. There was a senator arrested there like 2 years ago for scratching somebody's truck. Ooh, assless chaps are always nice. No, Samara, I don't mean to. He didn't say they were vampires. He said there were vampires out there. He never said what people saw in the mountaintops that we call watchers weren't vampires. He didn't say that. He said they may be. All right, let's see what I got here. I do have a Glimmer Man. I do. I do have a Glimmer Man. I guess my experience is something that people call the Glimmer Man. I'm from Southern Ontario, Canada. It had to have been mid-July 2018. My boyfriend and I were spending the day in Toronto at a few restaurants, had a couple of drinks throughout the day, then decided to kind of head back to the hotel early and crash. I woke up at around 5 a.m. or so. I do wake up fairly early, but not this early. I was trying to go back to sleep. It happened that there was some light from the dawn coming through the windows. The curtains were drawn in the hotel room, but there was some light coming in. I noticed I can hear it was my boyfriend talking in his sleep, and I look over at him. I guess there was probably about 3 feet of space between where my boyfriend was lying on the side of the bed and the space between the wall. As I looked beyond my boyfriend, I saw a shimmering movement along the wall. As I continued to watch, I distinctly made out a humanoid form. It was kind of rocking back and forth. I didn't know what to think. Maybe I was tired and imagining it. Then I saw a pair of eyes manifesting on a face of this being. As I watched the eyes turn to a bright yellow color, then the being crouched down and out of sight. Then suddenly it popped up right beside my boyfriend. I saw the shimmering hand reach up and cover my boyfriend's face, then pulled back when my boyfriend made a gasping sound. Then it happened again. I started shaking my boyfriend, but he wouldn't wake up. The being then stood up and started walking around the bed toward my side. I immediately jumped out of bed and headed toward the bathroom. I entered and slammed the door. I yelled for my boyfriend to wake up, but heard no response. Then I heard him gasping again. I opened the door and saw the being lying on my side of the bed. I stood and watched it, again yelling at my boyfriend to wake up. Then suddenly my boyfriend woke up and let out a horrific scream. He looks at me with wide, terrified eyes. I looked over at my side of the bed and the creature was gone. My boyfriend tells me he had an awful dream about someone trying to smother him. I started crying. I told him what I had seen. At first, I don't think he believed me, but the more I talked, the more he realized that his dream was similar to what I was describing. We packed our bags and checked out early and drove home. Since that day, my boyfriend and I have gotten married. We bought a house and plan to start a family soon, but I occasionally see the same glimmer man. I believe he hitched a ride back with us from Toronto. He isn't there all the time, but seems to show up in the most inopportune times. That's fucking scary, dude. That's scary. Aw, thank you, Samara. Dang, can you imagine? You wake up and there's your significant other getting choked out by a fucking glimmer man. I think it's time. I think it's time for another lizard story. I don't know what I would do. I think if I was that chick, I would just beat up my boyfriend. I'd be like, get off him, you motherfucker. Taylor. Eric! Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Mr. Haunted, there he is. Erica Danforth. Holy shit. The gifts are coming in. Thank you, guys. All right. This one. All right. We'll do the Lizzo one. This is the Lizzo one here. Hang on. I showed my daughter the dance I was going to give you guys tonight, but I was like, nah, better not. I had a big old dance for you. Jimmy! I cannot wait. I started working on some things for you, Jimmy. All right, here we go. Once again, the lot lizard stories are fiction. This is fiction, my friends. The neon sign of the Double D Diner and Diesel buzzed intermittently, casting a sickly green glow on the rain-spackled asphalt. Inside, Lizzo the Large, a woman built like a linebacker with a heart of slightly tarnished gold, polished her nails a shade of crimson that could stop traffic. Her domain was the corner stool, strategically positioned to oversee the comings and goings of truckers, gamblers, and the occasional lost tourist. Lizzo was a lot lizard, a term she embraced with a wink and a hearty laugh. She wasn't exactly discreet, but she was honest, and honest was a rare commodity on I-90. Tonight, however, a cloud of unease hung heavier than a cigarette smoke. Earl the trucker, her favorite customer and purveyor of the juiciest gossip, hadn't rolled in yet. He's late, Lizzo muttered, tapping her freshly painted nails against the sticky bar. Earl is never late for his coffee and, well, you know. Suddenly, the diner's door swung open with a violent gust of wind. Even though the night was still, every head turned. Standing in the doorway was a figure shrouded in the shadows, impossibly tall and gaunt. A chilling wind whipped through the room, exhausting the lone candle on the counter. Evening, folks. The voice rasped like gravel gargling on motor oil. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face that could curdle milk. The legendary Large Marge. The trucker ghost said to haunt this stretch of highway. A legend had it. Marge drove a rig loaded with explosives that went up in flames back in '68, taking her and a whole lot of prime farmland with her. Large Marge eyes, they glowed with an unholy fire, scanning the room. "Where's Earl?" she croaked. "He owes me a debt, a very explosive debt." A collective groan went through the diner. Everyone knew Marge's wrath was bad news. She had a penchant for phantom flat tires and spectral speed traps. But this felt different, more dangerous. Lizzo, however, wasn't one to back down from a fight, especially when Earl was involved. "He ain't here, Marge," she boomed, her voice echoing in a sudden silence. "And even if he was, you ain't touching him. He's a paying customer." Marge let out a bone-chilling laugh. "Paying? He's been whispering sweet nothings to my old rig, promising her a new paint job and chrome exhaust system she'll never get." Lizzo raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Earl, flirting with an old rusty truck? Now I've heard everything." "He stole my affections," Marge wailed, her spectral hands wriggling in agony. "And now he'll pay." The diner erupted in chaos. People dove under the tables, scrambled for exits, anything to get away from the wrath of Large Marge. But Lizzo stood her ground, a formidable figure, in her sequenced top and leopard print stockings. "All right, Marge," Lizzo said, cracking her knuckles. "You want Earl? You got to get through me first." Marge cackled again, and the diner lights flickered ominously. "Very well," she hissed. "Let's see if you're as tough as you look." The fight was on. Marge lunged, her spectral form passing right through tables, sending cutlery flying. Lizzo ducked, grabbed a salt shaker, and threw it at Marge. The salt, surprisingly, seemed to disorient the ghost, causing her to stumble for a moment. Seeing her chance, Lizzo grabbed a bottle of hot sauce from the bar and splashed it liberally on Marge. The ghost shrieked, a sound that shattered several glasses. "My ectoplasm!" Marge wailed, clutching her spectral face. It burns. Lizzo wasn't done. She grabbed a plate of fried onion, a diner specialty, and hurled it at Marge. The ghost gagged, recoiling from that pungent odor. Onions, Marge sputtered. My one weakness. The fight raged on. A bizarre ballad of spectral screams, flying condiments, and Lizzo's booming laughter. Finally, with a final desperate heave, Lizzo grabbed the entire jukebox and shoved it toward Marge. The jukebox, loaded with classic country and western tunes, crashed into Marge, pinning her against the wall. The sudden impact triggered the machine, and Tammy Wynette's Stand By Your Man blared out in full volume. Marge screamed a sound of pure, unadulterated agony. Not the Wynette! Anything but that, bitch! Suddenly, the final wail, and Marge vanished, leaving behind only a lingering scent of burnt rubber and a faint echo of Tammy Wynette. The diner erupted in cheers, and Lizzo, covered in grease and hot sauce, took a bow. Just then the doors opened. Earl the trucker stumbled in looking sheepish. Sorry I'm late, Lizzo, he said, scratching his head. We had a little trouble with my rig. Seems to be acting up something fierce. Lizzo winked. Don't you worry about it, Earl. You get yourself a cup of coffee and maybe lay off the sweet talking to old trucks for a while. Earl, oblivious to the specter drama that had just unfolded, nodded sheepishly and took his usual seat at the bar. As Lizzo poured him a cup of coffee, she couldn't quite help but smile. She might be a lot lizard, but she was their lot lizard. And sometimes a little grease, some hot sauce, and Tammy Wynette were all you ever needed to save the day. The Double D diner and Diesel was safe, at least for tonight. And Lizzo, the large and unlikely hero, was ready for her next adventure. After all, life on I-90 was never dull. I had to throw Large Marge in there. Fucking Large Marge from Pee Wee Herman. Zilla, how are you, my friend? And thank you very much. No, you're not late. I hope everything works out, Zilla. And you're never late. You're always here. Dude, I thought it would be classic if I put Large Marge in there. Dude, I remember when I first saw that Pee Wee Herman show, the movie. I was like, me and my cousin saw it at the movie theaters, and she turned and did that thing with her eyes. Dude, I think I farted when it happened. What's up, Sully? My ass queefed like Lizzo's belly button. Lizzo's belly button queefs. Ew. 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 It was July of 2021 when we were taking our umpteenth girls' trip to Galveston. 2 up front and 2 in the back seats of the Hummer. We're talking and listening to music when I noticed something flying toward us along Highway 45, far in the distance. As we traveled, we were all trying to determine exactly what it was we were seeing. It was draped in black and literally seemed to be a faceless, upright humanoid flying in a straight line. Yet, without arms or any sort of propulsion, we estimated we were able to watch it for a couple miles as the gap closed between us. It was fairly high, but we all saw that it appeared to be wearing a flowing type of fabric. This thing was subject of discussion for days afterward, and to this day, we still wonder what we saw and agree there is no way it behaved like a kite or jetpack. Plus, the area, mostly ranch land. Has anyone seen anything like this? Aramek has in his years of experience. There we go. There we go. Well, Shackleneck, I knew you'd appreciate it, brother. The hot sauce. Oh, shit. Shit. I had two unexplainable sightings. Both sightings happened close together. The first time was around the end of June 2015, witnessed by myself and my girlfriend 30 miles east of Shoshin, Idaho. At my new home I had just moved into in May. The old farmhouse had been vacant for a few years, surrounded by fields. The closest home was 5 miles away. Hell, the closest town was 30 either way. I was coming home at about 10 p.m. one night. I pulled off the main road onto my little dirt road leading to my house. At about 20 yards away from my headlights, I saw a skinny, dark-haired creature on 2 feet and under 6 feet tall, taking a few steps toward the corral. Put its right-hand limb on top of the corral fence to go over the top. Not jumping, not running, with absolute ease doing so. My girlfriend and I freaked out, but what happened next was the most chilling part. The corral or fence is neck or head height to me, and I am 6 feet tall. After it went over the top, it ducked below the fence and looked up, not once, but twice, its eyes glowing about 2 feet apart. I parked the truck at an angle with the lights facing it. I ran 30 yards to get my gun and spotlight. My girlfriend was still in the truck watching it with fear for it to pop its head up again. I ran back thinking, don't shoot. What if it's someone just playing games? I shot above the corral. After I fired, I could hear but not see something big moving further back through all the other corrals. The next morning, I found the spot where it stood looking over the corral. 2 perfect indentations were in the weeds and a trail where it escaped into the field. The second sighting was on June 7th, 2016, as it walked past my living room window. I seen it myself, and my teenage daughter saw it. It walked past the window at the same time, just past 10 p.m. I ran out within seconds with my shotgun and a spotlight. Nothing. It either had wings or was invisible. Anyway, I'm sharing this to hopefully figure out what it was. I thought I had... Ermic, thank you, my friend. Yeah, 2 feet apart. That's a big head. Brian Moms, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate you. It was 1997. I was 28, and my then boyfriend and I lived in a remote village of Lincolnshire, England. He had a job where he worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I was working in a bar, so I would take him to and from work so I could get myself to work with one car we shared. It was probably worth mentioning that the car was brand new. It had something crazy like 18 miles on the clock when we got it. I wanted something newer than the car we had before because I didn't like the idea of being stranded down in a dark county road if the car decided to shit itself when I was driving alone. Hang on a second. Hang on. What? Well, what? Where? Hang on. Shut the door. Hang on, guys. Hang on. My daughter just got chased by a mouse. Hang on. Is anyone in the bathroom? Yeah. Nothing. I got it. Go talk on my live stream about Conjuring House. Go talk on the live stream about the Conjuring House. Go! Go talk on the live stream, I said. Yes. Go.
I don't want to talk. I'm scared. I don't know what to say. I'm scared. Hey guys, it's Isabel. Hi. I'm scared too. I'm terrified. It was a brown mouse, a very cute mouse. Hi guys. My dad's yelling at my cat. It was a very cute mouse. I hope he doesn't kill it. Wow, I'm famous. Hi guys. Tigger's trying to get the mouse right now. I know, it's sad, but my cat and Tigger were trying to get the mouse. Mice aren't evil.
Yeah, I got it.
Alright.
I got it, boy.
Okay. He's running with a cloth around it. Where'd you put it?
Let it outside.
Okay.
Right.
Bye, guys. They love me.
Sorry about that, guys. Whew. God damn. Oh. Could you hear me yelling at her? I'm like, go talk on the live stream. Talk about the Conjuring House. Tigger was trying to get it. Tigger's like this. He's like, but he's so big he can't fit anywhere. Fucking God. I just got it. I put it in I grabbed it with a towel, put it in the towel, and then. Oh. We've never had a mouse in this house ever. Ever. I don't know where the fuck that came from, man. Brian, you're gonna have to send him again. I can't scroll up that much. Holy shit. Fucking crazy. I bet you $100 Tigger's still in my room. Fucking asshole couldn't catch it. What a dink. Hang on, I gotta go see him. Hang on. he's still in my room. He's like this. I look in my room and he's like, fucking idiot. All right. I'm sorry, guys. All right. So, 1997, I was 28. My then boyfriend and I lived in a remote village of Lincolnshire, England. He had a job where he worked from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and I was working in a bar so I could take him to and fro work, so I could get myself to work with the one car we shared. It's probably worth mentioning that the car we had was brand new. It had something like 18 miles on the clock when we got it. I wanted something newer than the car we had before because I didn't like the idea of being stranded down in a dark country lane if the car decided to shit the bed. I don't know how many people know Lincolnshire, but most of it is rural with thin winding roads, and the place is so flat you can see for miles. I used to drive to pick up my ex, and the views in the spring when the mornings were getting lighter was and still is breathtaking. So imagine farmers' fields all around you with the basic little road snaking along the edges. The fields themselves were separated in rows, but not quite saplings, but trees that would be a couple of years old. Still thin and gangly, and at this particular time of year, we're just starting to show hints of new leaves in the skinny branches. An absolutely beautiful drive in the lighter mornings, mainly because I was usually the only person on the road, so I could drive as slow as I liked to watch the sun come over the horizon. Okay, I hope I described the place enough to paint the image. Here's where the story starts. So one morning I'm driving along the little road. It was about 5:30 a.m. and the sun was just peeking out of the horizon and the sky was completely cloudless. I slowed down to watch it as I often did, not paying much attention to the trees as they were in the rows that ran down the side of the field, so they were never in the way of the view. My peripheral. I thought I saw something move again amongst the skinny trees. So I stopped the car, completely thinking it may be a deer or something interesting like that. I waited a few seconds and nothing happened. So I was just about to restart the car when I saw two of the trees walking out of the lineup. I say trees, but I don't have a clue what they actually were. Remember, this is a long time before the internet and creatures were all the rage. I was literally frozen to the spot with fear. Two tall things walked out of the line of trees and started walking over to me. I was about 50 to 60 yards away from them, and the only thing I can describe them as oversized stick insects. They had two long legs and two long arms that almost touched the ground. And I say the tallest one easily was 12 feet, the smaller 10. They walked in a fluid motion as if they were wading through water, like long hair would glide through water. It was slow. It was just slow and graceful. When my brain finally kicked into flight mode, I started the car, glanced over to see how close they had gotten. All the while, I'm putting my car into gear and it's starting to move. The tallest one slowly lifted its arm. Like a silk scarf gliding through the light wind, it pointed to me. My car instantly stalled. The dashboard warning lights were all on. All of them lit up at the same time. I got the worst pain in my face, mainly my jaw, but it made me scream out in agony and I almost blacked out. With pain, oh my God, I can't speak right now. Debilitating. I can't even fucking speak, man. Your brain ever shut off? I'm not even gonna. The pain was causing me. I knew I needed to go fast away. I was so terrified. Debilitating. I can't fucking speak. That mouse has got me fucked up. Knew I needed to get away and fast. I was so terrified that the car wouldn't start again because all the lights were still on. I turned the engine entirely off and thankfully it started again and I drove like a mad woman trying to get out of there. The whole time, my face and jaw burning. When I got to my ex's work, he gave me a bottle of water to cool me down. And for weeks, my mouth felt like I had chewed poison ivy. My jaw feeling like I had an abscess under each molar. I needed to see a dentist, and I knew that, but explaining what happened would have made me feel stupid, so I put it off. I had 3 fillings, all in my lower molars. And once the worst of the pain was gone, a couple months later, I couldn't put anything metal in my mouth without getting a shock. Why would you put metal in your mouth? Like licking with a spoon. Yeah. Like licking a battery shock. So I'm eating with plastic cutlery all the time and decided to give in and go see a dentist to get the ceramic ones. The dentist looked in my mouth and asked what happened to my teeth. I played it off casually and asked why. My fillings look like balls of mercury. So I explained the car ride, and he said that my fillings look like they had been melted and pooled in a smooth, rounded balls. Every word of this is true. Debilitating. I said the fucking word now. Dude, that mouse, you should have seen it. It was the ugliest little mouse I'd ever seen. Its eyes were like that big. Its head was like that big, and its eyes were like this. She probably did, ill-natured. She probably did. She's watching this, so don't give her any ideas. I'm not shaken by the mouse, SDL. I'm shaken because I had to run around and catch the thing because I wanted to come back to you guys. Little fucking waste of space, little mouse. And my cat, the no good fucking asshole, James Moses. They are Berman. Thank you, James. Didn't they used to use mercury back in the day? I believe they did. Tigger wasn't napping. Tigger's just lazy. Tigger's lazy. I mean, if I said, hey, buddy, you want some treats? Actually, look what he did to my foot today. See the Band-Aid? I'm not even going to take it off. I'm sitting there. I'm fucking petting the asshole. I'm like, because he gets on, he's got this scratching post that he just rips apart. He's like, with his fucking murder mittens. And he's like, so I always go behind him and I'm like, I scratch his back and I'm like, get that motherfucker. Get it. So I'm keep doing it, right? And he's loving it. He's fucking He stops and then I stop and then he goes back at it. So I stop and I walk away from him, right? I don't hear him come up behind me and he goes, bop, bop. And I'm like, ah. Anushka, how are you? Fucking Tigger. Yeah, they did use mercury. I think they stopped using it in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. Clear. When did dentists stop using mercury? That's what it was. He was overstimulated. And Google just said that to me. Stop listening to me, Google. When did dentists stop using mercury? Dentists have not completely stopped using mercury. Those lying little assholes. Those lying little assholes. No, pups. They still use them. What about just $20? I gotta clean it again. It stinks. Good thing ShackleNet got me some cleaner for that motherfucker. Now my mouth tastes like fucking deer shit. You guys saw that, didn't you? I had to get it off my mouth. Ew. Here we go. Are there any spirits in my house with me tonight? Well, I think that means yes. Please uncross these beautiful little dowsing rods for me. Please uncross the dowsing rods. I want to ask more questions. Thank you. Did you let that dirty little mouse in my house? Are you still with us? Okay. Please uncross them so I can ask more questions. Are you the spirit that we've talked to before? Crossing them is yes. Keeping them open is no. Are you the spirit that we've talked to before? Does that mean no, you are not the spirit that we've talked to before? Okay. Please uncross them. Are you the spirit that I captured on the SLS camera in my house a few years ago? Are you the spirit that messes with Isabel and me at night? Please uncross them. Are you a spirit that died in this house? Do you like that I research the things that I research? Please uncross them. Please uncross them. Please uncross them. Are you still here with us? Do you want to talk still? Are you still here with us? I'm going to stop now. Goodbye. You have no business bothering me or Isabel. Ow. Dude, my hands hurt. I was shaking because I had them so tight. Ow. These dowsing rods came from the Conjuring House. Whew. I just did pray. I just did pray. Dude, did you see that glitch? Did you guys see the glitch? Was there a glitch? Did you guys see it? Holy shit. Like, my face was here and then it was boop right there, right? Right? Oh. And ironically, we were just using those. Not cool. Not cool. I did. I'm so glad I did. Dude, it was so weird. What's up, Blackie? How are you? There were two? I thought there was. I thought I caught one like that came out of the corner of my eye. It was like boop boop, and it's not my computer because I have what is it, 1,000 gigabytes or whatever. I have the best that Spectrum has to offer. I paid for like the best one to hear. What's up, High Strangeness? How are you? So she's laying down. Hi, Kakalina. How are you tonight? Love you, bud. Good night. I'm going to make sure she's all right later. It's weird, too, because I literally have, like, right now, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but Spectrum, internet speed test on Spectrum is, and this is the internet one. All right, so download speed, so it shouldn't be messing up. It should not be messing up at all. We shouldn't have used the dowsing rods tonight. We shouldn't have used them. Download speed is 742 megabits. Upload, which is the one that counts on this, is 37. So we shouldn't have any issue. Let me say one more prayer. All right. Several years ago, I had an experience which I will recount to you. I've been speaking of this more, but reconciling took some time. It would have been early March 2014. I am an interior scaper, which means I take care of plants in offices and estates. At the time, I had a contract to maintain the plant material in an executive office at a major electronics firm in Plano, Texas. Because I maintained the plants for the highest level employees, I would do my work in the middle of the night by escort by their security personnel. I had the contract to do this work for them in many years. Once a week, I would leave my house where I live in the country setting. I would travel 45 minutes into Plano to do my work. On this particular morning, it was around 2:30 a.m. I had loaded my van with my work materials and started out on a very cold and unpleasant morning. It had been raining and the wind was blowing. I had my windshield wipers on because the wind was blowing water off of the trees, though it wasn't raining at the moment. I turned on the residential street to make my way out onto the main roads. As I approached the first stop, my headlights illuminated on a creature. This is how I describe it. First, I must comment that I was immediately struck by a terrible fear. I believe my neck here stood on end, and I realized later that I had popped out in complete sweat. I never sweat, and it was very cold. I had my shirt I had on had a huge armpit ring at the time. So I instantly knew I was seeing something very out of the ordinary. I would say this being was about 5 feet in height. It crossed the road on the cross street in front of me. It had probably 10 or so seconds as my van approached the stop sign, and I had my foot on the brake pedal already when I had seen it. I was going slow already. It was a glossy white color. It was the same glossy white from head to toe. It did not turn its head to look at me, so I do not know what its eyes looked like. It moved in a very strange fashion. It did not seem to have any bend at the knee area and shuffled rather than walked. The arms were very long, much longer than a person's, and they hung down past where one would expect knees to be, and also had no bend where one would expect elbows. I believe the hands were large. The head was not very big. Nothing like these things you see of alien greys in pictures. Nothing was threatening in its manner, I believe, but I was terrified nonetheless. I must say, it took every ounce of courage for me to turn my head to the left in the direction it had gone when I came to a stop at the stop sign. I saw nothing there, and I floored it and got the hell out of there. Nothing strange or unusual happened on the rest of this trip, although I was really scared, and nothing has happened since. I wish I knew what this thing was and what the consequences would be of me seeing it. I would love to see it again, but I hope there are no consequences and I could look at it from behind. Obviously, I have no idea what it was except to say that it was not a human. I guess it could be an alien from space or a creature from another dimension. Yeah, that's okay. I see something. Yeah, it did. I'm gonna message Janie and see if she's all right. Message. I just messaged her. She's laying down. I told her to lay down. All right. Last lot lizard story of the night. I'll bring my Ovilus and stuff on next week. I'll bring all my ghost hunting up next week. Earl, a man whose belly strained the buttons of his faded denim shirt, was not easily spooked. He hauled everything from live chickens to suspiciously silent radioactive material across state lines. He out-negotiated corrupt way station officers and wrestled the rogue tire iron from a meth-addled hitchhiker. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for Trixie. Trixie, the lot lizard of the desolate Double Deuce truck stop outside of Amarillo, wasn't your average purveyor of late-night comfort. For starters, she had teeth. Not just teeth, but fangs. An unsettling aversion to daylight. Earl, a creature of habit and lukewarm water, had initially dismissed her pale complexion and penchant for cloaking herself in the shadows as just another quirk of the road. That was until he saw her working over Big Jimmy, the dispatcher, and Jimmy ended up paler than she was, mumbling about the IRS and developing a sudden uncharacteristic love of Transylvania. Rumors started circulating faster than a runway 18-wheeler down a mountain pass. Drivers whispered about drained batteries, unexplainable anemia, and a growing unease that hung thicker than diesel fuel. Earl, a man of logic and common sense, initially scoffed. Vampires? Lot lizards? Come on, fellas. You've been hitting the road a little too hard. But then his rig started acting up. The CB radio, usually buzzing with comfort chatter for fellow truckers, crackled with a static and whispers. His fuel efficiency plummeted, and every night when he tried to sleep, he felt a prickling sensation in his neck, like the world's worst mosquito bite. One particular bleak evening, Earl was nursing a lukewarm cup of coffee, watching Trixie glide through the parking lot, her movements unnervingly fluid. He saw her approach Mad Dog Malone's rig. Mad Dog, a mountain of a man known for his temper and fondness for garlic on everything. Earl chuckled, figuring Mad Dog would run her off with a blast of breath, potent enough to sterilize a hospital operating room. But that's not what happened. Mad Dog, usually rolling with laughter, just stared at her. A vacant look glazed over his eyes. Trixie leaned in closer, her hand on his arm, and Mad Dog just gently closed his eyes. Earl saw it, a glint of fangs in the dim light, the slow, deliberate draining of life. That was it. Logic went out the window, replaced with a primal urge to protect his community. Earl's livelihood and, frankly, his neck. Okay, Trixie, he muttered, slamming his coffee mug on the counter. This little road show is over. Earl didn't have any silver bullets, holy water, or even a crucifix. All he had was his wits, a rusty tire iron, and a deep-seated aversion for being somebody's late-night snack. Fortified by caffeine and a healthy dose of righteousness indignation, Earl lumbered out of the diner, his shadow stretching long and ominous in the moonlight. He found Trixie still latched onto Mad Dog, who looked decidedly less Mad Dog and more mild puppy. Earl charged, bellowing like a wounded moose. He swung the tire iron with the force he considered a girth could muster. His considerable girth could muster, and he missed. Trixie shrieked, a sound that shattered the night and sent stray dogs howling. She turned, her eyes blazing red in the darkness. Earl realized he might have underestimated the situation. This wasn't just a desperate woman turning tricks. This was a full-blown blood-sucking nightmare. Think, Earl, think. He remembered something his grandmother used to say about vampires and sunlight. Grabbing the nearest thing he found, he chucked a handful of industrial strength truck stop sugar packets at Trixie. It wasn't silver, but it was something. The sugar burst around her like tiny sweet grenades. Trixie hissed, momentarily disoriented. Earl seized that opportunity and sprinted to his rigs, fumbling with his keys. He knew the only weapon he had was also his livelihood, his 18-wheeler. He revved the engine, the roar echoing through the parking lot. Trixie, recovering the sugar assault, lunged at him. Her fangs bared. Earl slammed the accelerator. The rig lunged forward. It wasn't a graceful maneuver, more akin to a rhino charging a picnic basket. He aimed for the shadows where Trixie was trying to blend in. The rig roared, the tires spitting gravel, the headlights cutting through the darkness. He didn't see her, but he felt a sickening thud. He slammed on the brakes. The rig shuddered to a halt. He cautiously climbed out, armed with a tire iron. At first he saw nothing, then he spotted it. A pile of shimmering dust sparkled in the moonlight, and a pair of very expensive, slightly singed high-heeled boots. The truck stop was silent for a moment, then a cheer erupted from the diner. Earl, covered in dust and diesel, was a hero. Mad Dog, looking dazed but definitely more colorful, gave Earl a grateful pat on the back, nearly sending him sprawling. The double deuce never quite went back to normal. People a little jumpier, a little more suspicious of newcomers. But Earl, the trucker who vanquished a vampire lot lizard with a tire iron and a semi-truck, became a legend. He still hauls freight across straight lines, but now he carries a big bag of sugar packets just in case. And he absolutely positively always parks his rig where the sun can reach. Where the sun can reach it in the morning. You never know. All right, guys. I'm going to end it. We got 2 hours in. I'm a little tired. I got up real early today. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me for tonight. And I appreciate it. I got zit for sleep last night. I had to get up at 8. I went to bed at 4. So I got 4 hours of sleep in the last 48. So I got to crash. Guys, thank you so much. And I will see you all next week. I can't tell you how much fun I had tonight. So next week will be a little longer, okay? All right. Have a good night, and thank you once again. Delirium, thank you. Larry Lindman, thank you. Eremic, thank you. Everyone who blessed the channel tonight, thank you. And those of you who just hung out with me tonight, thank you, because you guys mean the fucking world to me every Saturday. Thank you. All right. I'll see you next Saturday. And like Ozzy said, I love you all.